There we go. It's on. Smudger, welcome back, you big fucker.
Hello, thank you for having me on again. Is this
Wow.
number three?
Four.
Number four? Number four? Yeah, I thought it was
He's
number four.
fucking living the dream. I had to make sure I didn't sing on the intro to that one because the missus and the kids were pissing themselves in the last intro that I did. Because I was like, welcome to the Granite Zero podcast. Thank you for your time. And they were like, that's it. That's all I get now.
Thank
As
you
soon as I
for your.
walk into the house. Thank you for your time. Oh, fuck off. How are you doing?
Yeah,
Welcome
I'm all right,
back.
everybody. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. A pleasure and an honour as always. As always, mate.
Of course it is. It's always a privilege to have Dr. Chris Smith on.
Dr. Smith. Ivy.
It always makes it sound so much cooler when I put that on the guest list. It's like, well, fucking doctor, ain't I?
Dr. Smith.
Got a doctor
Um,
on.
my daughter Ivy is obviously she's 4, and she. We were talking the other day about how there were lots of people called Chris at school when I was at school, and I was like, oh yeah, in my maths class there was like 4 people called Chris. And Ivy just said to me, she goes, yeah, but they'll know which one you were because they'll just say Dr. Chris. I was like, that's not how it worked, I'm afraid.
I didn't work back then, really. Not that.
Right.
Well, they would have known which one you were anyway, just through the sheer length.
Yeah.
The one with the size 14 feet at year 7 or whatever you were. You fucking
Yeah, not quite. Yeah, the big lanky one. Although, as you know, I wasn't the tallest in this. This is thrilling content. Was not the biggest in this.
Doesn't matter about the content.
Or anything, right? We had surrounded by giants.
We were. Well, I was. I still am. Just walking down the road. I'm like, all right, you're tall. So having a conversation with Shipper the other day during we took a bit of a break from football training. And we were talking about his boy, and I was like, it's mad to think that in like 3 years' time for Riley was when I first started playing men's football.
Yeah.
And then both me and Dan were like, so we would have been about 14 and on 15 because Dan said he started at the same sort of time. And I was like, but in my head, I was always this size.
Yeah,
but I couldn't have been.
14, didn't you?
I'm pretty sure I did stop growing. Yeah, I've shrunk according to my Air Force ID. So apparently, once upon a time, I was 5'7". Not anymore. But yeah, it's like in my head. Like, to be fair, I did stop growing quite early. So height wise, but size, I've like, yes, I've put on loads of weight since like lockdown and whatnot. But in my head, I was always quite stocky. But looking back at photos, no.
You were always a slim bean until at the gym. Then you pumped up the pumped up the volume.
The iron, didn't I?
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing I do want to quickly just talk about quickly because it's happened to me recently, right? So it's all fine. We're all in the clear, by the way. But I found a lump under me tit. So
yeah.
I just want people to know you got to check these things, mate. Just because you're a dude, you still got to check your tits. So yeah, I found a quite a large lump under me right nipple. It turns out that it's an inflamed gland, which happens. And I was like, said to the doctor, I was like, what sort of causes that? And this goes back to a thing that you sent me the other week as well, and Kate told me not to do, and everybody else told me not to do. It can be caused by coming off your antidepressants not the right way, because obviously it makes your hormones go fucking loop-de-loo. It also could be that I've gained a lot of weight and gained more estrogen than testosterone. So I had bloods taken today to see what my testosterone levels are like, which could be cool because if it comes back saying I'm low testosterone, which I don't think I am, but if it is, I can go, can I get some testosterone, please? And I'm going to get jacked and tanned. But yeah, seriously though, troops that are listening, you got to get these things checked because, you don't know what's under the skin.
All right, get it all checked out. Check your balls while you're at it, guys.
Yeah, why not?
I think they were saying that this might be, as you call, bro science, because I can't remember where I saw it, but there was something like the survival rate of breast cancer is much higher in women now than it is men because dudes see a lump and go, well, it's not boob cancer because I don't have boobs. And whereas ladies have, obviously there's a lot more understanding, a lot more prevalence of testing and that. So they'll go and get it checked out, whereas a guy might be less likely to. And therefore survival rates, even though I think the instances are higher in females, but I think survival rates were lower for blokes because you just think, right, you know, breast cancer, that's not going to affect me, is it?
No,
But it so get it checked out.
exactly. And I did get a telling off from the GP because she was like, "How long have you had it?" And I was like, "A couple of months." And they were like, "Why is it taking you this long?" And I was like, "Well, I've had a cyst there before. I assumed it was the cyst coming back." And she was like, "Well, no, you should still come back." I was like, "All right, brilliant. Cheers for that." But yeah, always get checked up. And another big shout out because he does listen to Chris Dunn. He's having his operation today for his knee. He's getting that sorted. I don't know if you can hear that. I've got a helicopter flying over.
I just had one flying over here as well. I can't hear it.
It's not a military one. It's got to be a civvy one.
We had two. Well, I was at the dropped off the kids this morning when we were waiting outside the school gates. Two of the regiment ones went over the top. In little. No. The Chinooks come right over the field opposite our house though, and when they're doing their low flying, so you'll hear them.
Wacka wacka.
Yeah.
Wacka wacka. You can always tell when they're flying.
Yeah, you know when they're coming. No, these are just little ones. Yeah.
Little ones.
Darren, get out on.
Darren's good at spotting those. He goes out in his garden with his binoculars, going, "Oh, what aircraft is that?" Takes photos of it and sends it me, and it's like, come on, mate. My aircraft recognition is pretty good, so come on, give me something harder. You know what I mean? But yeah, how is stuff going with you? What's going on in the world of Chris Smith?
I listen to your podcast, as you know, and whenever you've got someone on, they've always got something interesting to talk about. I don't know if there's anything of note that's going on in my life at the moment. You know, just being a dad and doing work, and you know, we've got holidays and things like that coming up, but nothing of. I'm not trekking across anything interesting or about Great Britain.
There you go. Thanks for coming on, Chris.
Yeah. Not got my MBE or anything.
Yeah.
But you know, life's good. We did the back-to-back on the old county championships, which I think
you need.
Last time I was on, we just won it first time, and that was one of the inspirations for inviting me on to talk a bit about the old basketball. So yeah, so we under 14s back-to-back champions now. So we're now in the national competition. So
for a three-peat, mate.
Maybe we'll see what happens with the 3-beat. We'll see what happens next year. But that was
Bishop Bulls.
That was good. But we're in the national competition now. We've got a team that are the ones that have come out the West London championships. Will be who we'll be up against. So anyway, I think we might, given we don't have any National League teams nearby, and they will have several National League teams that their kids play in. I imagine we might be outmatched and outgunned. But you know,
you always got to root for the underdog, mate. It's like when you a bit like Wrexham. They did all right.
Yeah, I mean, Wrexham are the underdog. They also have like multi-millionaire owners that are untold money from all sources and marketing geniuses. And look, I've loved watching Welcome to Wrexham. I think it's a great story. I thought it came across really well, the way they presented the whole thing. And sometimes you can kind of get the impression that the owners are kind of wankers or something, and you're just like, you don't really want to root for them. And on the face of it, this comes across really disingenuous, right? Some, you know, Hollywood A-listers and Rob McElhenney have decided to buy a football team and take it up to the Premier League, as Ryan would say. And it sounds like, oh, that's going to be really rubbish. But obviously they have got, I think they've got the passion, and, you know, as disingenuous it might sound to begin with, I think there is a belief in the club and a buy into the city for them to pull it off. And I've enjoyed watching it. And of course,
Well,
you know.
they're doing all right in what was it Nation Vanarama League One or whatever it is, the one that puts him into the actual leagues. They're top of that at the minute. They're smashing it. Where the local team down here are almost bottom. They're going back to the non-league, which isn't a bad
Oh, they
thing.
play against Wrexham today.
Yeah. They had Ryan Reynolds was at the game when they played at Maidstone.
Were they?
He had
Oh, that's the stadium that we play at, right?
yeah. He had a fucking police escort and everything. Oh, fucking jumped up cunt. But no, genuinely though, mate, it's fucking that's an achievement because fucking getting the county championships back to back, doing something right. Doing something right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is it gives the kids a chance to play basketball. And, you know, sometimes you're gifted a kid who's really up for it and really interested in basketball and the sport of basketball. And sometimes you've got kids who like sport and just want to play all the sports they can play. And so they'll be athletic and they'll be strong, you know, but they won't necessarily put loads of effort into the basketball. They just want to do it because they enjoy it. And I'm sure we can recognise people like that in our team, you know, who were good athletes who just came along and wanted to play a bit. And I've been fortunate to have a few good athletes and a few good people who really love their basketball, who can kind of put the ball in, and know, blessed with a bit of size. And you know, in the years moving forward, it just depends who walks through the door, because I only have them for an hour a week, which isn't enough to turn them from being nothing to greatness, or isn't, you know, it's their motivation and their effort outside of training that helps.
Yeah, it's what they do outside, as we know from our own personal experiences playing. I think there was myself and you that were the basketball guys. We're the ones that were like, well, this is the sport that we excel at. And then like you said, we did have a couple of athletes to drop names. Guy Thompson for one. Luke Clifford was a pretty darn good athlete. Shouldn't really. He did.
He was playing hockey, mate. He was off playing hockey.
Nah, he played.
Maybe a bit. We had Adam Knight, and then we had the tall guys that we talked about. You know, and Stu Davis as well.
Stu Davis, Bish.
Bish, Bish Ross. Oh yeah.
Rowley, Pullen. We had a fucking ginormous team, apart from me. And Kieran.
Forgot about him. And Weaver, Dave.
Big Dave Weaver.
Podcast.
Fucking lad. Top lad.
Yeah.
No, it was good. So you've gone from county championship straight into the national championship.
Yeah, so
do you not have to do the Midlands first? No.
It's administered by Basketball England, and so there are some teams who have direct entry, and they play in pools, and then there are some people who get entry into the national competition as they get nominated by their local county. So not all counties, because not everyone is registered, but Herefordshire, Worcestershire. I looked through the list. There's quite a few, and effectively, if you win your championship, then you get entered into the national competition. Now, last year we were up against Worcester, and I hadn't realised it was a national competition. I just thought we were playing Worcester as like a more localised thing. But that's who we happened to be drawn against, which was great, because I mean they did come to us, but it was only 40 minutes down the road for them, or however long it took to get to Bishops. And they came, and again, they had kids who played National League in the not school National League, but like actual National League teams and a more professionalised setup their end, and they beat us, and that was fair and square. And look, we're going to put out a good team. We're going to put out a good shot against whoever turns up. We don't know who they are. I've looked at the teams in the pool that we're facing. As I say, they're all from West London or South London. And some of them look really good. Pardon?
Got your stab vests.
Although the head of PE was like, "Oh, we're gonna have to get a better venue than our court. We're gonna have to find a different court to play the game at. We can't have them coming here and turning up in this gym." I was like, "Well, she goes, we haven't even got a scoreboard." I was like, "Neither did the academy, which is where we normally play. They've got so maybe the leisure centre, but they probably won't want to pay for it. So we'll see." I don't know when it will be yet, but best of luck to the kids.
It's quite sad in a respect. We spoke about our team on previous ones, the old Hereford Hawks. It's quite sad that that never stayed, because having a county side like that to help develop the players outside of school would have been amazing. And then you can start a bit like how football. I can do it. I can draw comparisons to football. It's a bit like football now. So Sophia's plays for a team, Aylesford. They've got ages like 6 up to proper women's teams, but they're also coincide with the men's teams that have got the same, where Dan's boy plays under 12s, I think. So it's a bit like Pegasus Juniors in Hereford and Westfields and things like that. You've got the base from the lower ages up to proper men's. But it's just a shame that that never happens with. Well, it happens with rugby, but it doesn't happen with like basketball. It's a bit of a shame, because the setup we had was pretty spot on. It was just a shame that when we started it, we were like playing against men and we were just 18.
Yeah, and I mean there's a bit more now. It's not great. There's no men's teams. There's one out at Ledbury, I think, but the timings doesn't work for me to get out there to play. Although I'd love to play basketball more, formally, I suppose. There is a local kind of youth setup, Hereford Hornets, which is where some of my players play, and that's again, there's a big difference between the guys that go there and train, because they're the ones that are motivated anyway, and they'll be out doing basketball anyway, but also it gives them an extra couple of hours a week where they can train and hone their skills and play against better players because they're playing across the county. But there doesn't seem to be a men's setup, and it just all folded. But it comes back to something I posted about the other day. For kids to have these opportunities, it requires adults to step up and do it, because kids can't organise themselves into basketball teams or rugby teams or football teams or dancers or whatever it is that you want to do. Adults have to do it, and so you can either do it that it's a paid thing and you have to try and draw a profit in an income. And the dance school that my daughter goes to, both of them go to, they 2 people run that, and they take money out of it to fund their life, and that's fine. Or you have to have volunteers to step up and do it, and that's a big ask for a big commitment. But it requires adults to step up and either make their career doing it, and decide to live that sort of lifestyle, which is very hectic, or give up their time for free for benefit of other people, and that's tricky, You
need to reignite the Hereford League and get the Tupsley Chargers back.
We could play out of Bishops. Do you reckon your old man be up for
it? You need something to do. I don't think he'll play. He might help run it. You never know. Tupsley Chargers in the pink kit.
I was up in Bishops the other day, and I was up in the upstairs gym for.
When you go to Bishops, do you always look at my name on the board and go, "Wow, what a lad"?
What a lad! I said. That's exactly what I say. Lad. Did I send you a photo of it? I think
you did, yeah.
But I was up, and they put all the basketballs in the little storage cupboard where they used to have the big mats. And so I was in there and I saw this stuff up on this shelf, and they've just got all the old, loads of old basketball stuff, loads of old photos. The team basketball photos are up there, but I quickly looked through, but I couldn't find our team. I wasn't going to spend all afternoon up there, that's for sure.
That's annoying. I've asked my mum where mine is, and she was like, "I gave it to you." I was like, "You fucking haven't. Where's my photo?"
Well, it's gone now, isn't it? Now Donna's moved.
I had shingles in that photo.
Bless you.
I remember it well. Fucking grumpy face in the photo because I was fucking ill as shit. I don't want a photo. But yeah, you're right. Everything starts at grassroots level. And that's how we started, and we're fucking awesome.
But if it wasn't for the Hereford Hawk stuff, and there were lots of positives and some stuff that was tricky in there too, You know, I don't think I'd have made it into the university team. Like it was the difference between playing, as you say, kids basketball to men's basketball that allowed me, and I'm hopefully others as well, to kind of make that cross into playing for other teams. And it's really been you know, I've turned up, we moved around a lot before we had kids, lots of different places, maybe only staying for a few years. And every time I got there, I would just go on the old Google and Google and like basketball in, you know, Hitchin or basketball in Coventry or Leamington, and find a team, and you just turn up and they'd, you know, be happy to have you, and you know, pay your fees and join a team, and then you've got some friends, you know, that you, yeah, friend, basketball friend. So, you know, and that's quite cool.
Yeah, I did a similar thing down here. When I did my little shoot around that I was doing, I didn't want to join a proper team because I was like, there's no way that I could fucking ever compare to what I was to what I am now. My brain wants to, but body's like, there's a fucking joke, mate. So fuck it, when I look at the rim and the fucking net and all that, and I'm like, I used to be able to fucking almost dunk, and I was 5'6". But this is ridiculous, and now I can barely touch the backboard.
The kids always ask me, can you dunk? I don't know what it is. Almost every time I go to school, someone, a very observant person, will point out to me that I'm really tall all the time. and like sometimes it's.
Do you ever go, am I? Shit, I didn't know.
But but like it's teachers as well. Like literally, one of the PE teachers was like, "You are really tall, aren't you?" I was like, you're another human adult. Like, you just... but I was doing one of that drill where you kind of like just throw it off the backboard and put it in the hoop, and then it comes down, and then left hand, right hand. And I was like thinking, oh, when I used to actually practice this, I used to have to jump up and touch the backboard, or try and touch the bottom of the ring or something when you're doing it. And now I'm just like, you know,
yeah. Doing off the glass, but you were starting from halfway, so it was like proper sprinting. Like that ain't happening now. No.
Yeah, and our coach, when I was in Oxford, he would he'd move it further back. Now, obviously, depends on how many people you got, but you'd be like in a full sprint the whole way. It was, but again, you can't do that with my age group of kids because they can't jump up and do that, and they
no.
And you think, oh, off the glass would be a good warm up, and you're like, oh yeah, no, it's not a good warm up at all.
No, it's not until they figure out that you can jump if you want to. Like I always laugh at Jess, because Jess, when she does her running jump, it's hilarious. It's not one movement. Like, so she's running, and instead of just hopping off her left foot or her right foot, she has to stop
and jump,
and then jump again. It's like, what are you doing? Do it all in emotion, and you will figure out that you've got the Thompson gene and you can jump. But until you figure out that, you're not going to do it. But yeah, she is she is funny. She's a fucking pain in the ass last night. Ooh. Taking after her dad, she was. So she started whinging when she got in because she had homework. And she got proper because she couldn't figure out how to do her maths homework. And I was like, the maths homework? I thought you did that last night. She went, no, this is extra homework. I went, so what homework have you just been doing? She went, that was I think it was dance. That was my dance homework. I went, when was your dance homework set? She was like, 2 weeks ago. I went, why are you doing it tonight then? If it was set 2 weeks ago and you've got to hand it in tomorrow. She's like, oh, it wasn't my fault. I went, it's never your fault, is it? I went, it is your fault. Do your fucking homework. She was like, ugh. I was like, trust me, you don't want to be in the position that I used to put myself in on a Sunday night or whatever, and then you look and you go, oh, fucking hell, I've got to take up my whole Sunday doing shit homework that I don't want to do. I went, get it done when you get it. Otherwise, you get detentions. Then you have to lie about where you were. I was in the multi gym.
One of the kids in my team, he's year 7, and he's in detention every week, and every week he turns up late to the practice after half an hour, or whatever. No. He's a year 7. He's
push-ups, mate.
but
That's funny.
just funny, mate. And every week he's late, and he's like, "Yeah, I was in detention." Because after a while, I was like, "Why do you always turn up late? Like, what?"
He's year 7. He's had that many detentions.
You're always in detention. So anyway, I don't want to. Yeah, but
don't want to drop a minute.
Naughty. I think it's more like organizational things, like or whatever. I mean, I've never seen him being naughty in my class. I see it in my class in my training setting, where I've seen other kids be naughty. They like start pushing other kids or whatever. I've never seen him be naughty, but he's just. I think he's probably just a bit disorganized.
I saw a clip on like a football coaching thing about that sort of stuff, and I thought it's a very interesting concept. So it was down to he said, if a kid is messing around, bouncing the balls when you tell them not to, pushing other kids, it's because they want the attention of the instructor or the teacher. So when you say to him, "Oh, wait, stop doing that," he's going to continue doing that because he's getting the attention back. So you turn to another kid that's sat there and behaving and doing what he should do, and you praise that kid and go, "You're being an absolute superstar. That's what I want. You're brilliant," and praise that kid. The kid that is fuck-assing about will then go, "Hang on a minute.
I want to be
the kid that's getting all the attention for being good." And then they start behaving. I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
Chris doesn't.
Chris gets his knife hand out and goes, "Right, you fuckers, you fuck me about, just 20. Or you'll be running suicides until your eyes bleed."
No, like the other day, yesterday they were talking and chatting. We're trying to set up a new drill, and they were kind of having a bit of a chat about whatever. And so I just put the ball on the floor and just like waited. I just stood there waiting for them to. And I do this in lectures. This is the thing that I do because my first ever lecture, a guy called Patrick Tissington, Professor Tissington now. There must have been 400 of us in the class, all sat up in like the seatings. None of us had ever been to a lecture before, because it's like my first one in the undergraduate. And so everyone's chatting, and he's a psychologist by training, so he's just an ex-army as well. And so he just stood at the front, made it look like he was waiting for us, and then waited for everyone to be quiet. And then if anyone's talking, he just looks at them, looks in the direction of where they are. And then when everyone's quiet, he went, "Thank you." And then you start the class or start, whatever it was he was doing. And so I do that. It always works. I mean, I do that in my lectures, and it works with the kids as well. Just wait there, stand there, just wait.
It's one of those, isn't it? Are you done? Yeah. Can we start now, or do we have to wait for you a bit longer? No, you finish your conversation. Crack on.
They soon, regulate each other, and they'll be like, "Shh, shh," And like for a lecture, if I've set them a task and I want to bring them back, I'm like, "Okay, guys," just to kind of give them a clue that like we're turning back into plenary, as I call it, from a group task. So give them the cues that okay, now's the time to focus on what we're doing at the front, and it works with the kids as well. Yeah, and "Oh, shut up" to each other, and then it works. But
yeah. Psychology of Christopher Mark Smith.
Yeah.
But so are you back in the teaching environment now, or are you still doing it through fucking Zoom and shit?
Yeah, no, not so much.
It's got to be harder in Zoom because obviously you can't see them properly.
So the difficulties. So there's not really online teaching anymore. We did fully online for a while, and then we did hybrid. So we had it that you'd be in the classroom with most of the students, but we also had cameras in the room, and so folk could join from wherever they happen to be, and that might be in their room in Manchester because they're poorly, or they couldn't be bothered to turn up, and they wanted to do it from now, or it could be from Singapore where they live, and they're staying and they're living in Singapore and they're not coming to Manchester for whatever reason, right? And so that was like towards the end of the pandemic stuff, and then but now it's fully in Manchester. If you want, people have they force people to come back. You can't do it remotely anymore. So yeah, teaching is.
So obviously you're paying for that first-rate education. You probably should be in the lecture.
Yeah. There's a couple of things. I think students got demotivated being on Zoom and being, particularly early on when we were just recording videos and getting them to watch the videos rather than deliver the sessions live. And I'd spent hours and hours recording video content, like days prepping for my lectures, just to record videos, edit videos, put them together, to try and convey learning outcomes to students. And it was really inefficient. But then when we went to online teaching, most of the time, most of the students would turn their cameras off because they didn't want people staring at them in their bedrooms. And, this was, a lot of them were in their single, bedroom that is their own room. They had maybe have an ensuite and then a shared kitchen area. So this was the only space they could be in. Their bed is in the background of where their desk is. Like, you don't really want to be showing that to people, even if you make it up perfectly.
Plus, if you're online, then you're only about 3 clicks away from big black cocks. So you never know what they're doing.
Maybe.
Turn it off.
I definitely had a meeting with a guy, and his bed was in the background, and there was just like a stack of tissues, a stack of toilet paper on the bed cabinet. I was like,
Mate,
right, let's talk about
put that shit in the bin.
This was the unused supply.
Anyway,
but the difficulty with online teaching was you don't get the energy from the class. I kind of, if you've got 100 people in a classroom in front of you, you can kind of draw energy from them and turn it into a performance. But it's difficult to know how are people reacting. Are they understanding the concepts that you're putting across to them? Because online learning is less efficient. Now, if you've got small groups and you can facilitate that well, it works okay. But when you've got 130 people and you say, right, can someone give me the answer to this question? Well, they can't look at each other to say who's going to be the one who puts their hand up. And there's this thing in teaching called the golden silence. And it's, if you ask a question and you want a reply, you just have to sit there and just wait for one of them to answer. And eventually, one of them will get
the balls to do it.
Yeah. They get the balls and they'll get so, like, it'll be so awkward for them for the silence.
That is very awkward.
Right. But that doesn't happen online. Not so much. It takes much longer for that awkwardness to grow and manifest in an online environment, because you don't have to look at each other. You can say, oh, I'll just look at Facebook instead. So it's different. I see we've got 5 minutes left on the old timer.
Yeah, it's all good. We've got 5 minutes. Okay. But yeah, it's got to be strange, man. It's got to be strange, definitely. One thing I do want to bring up, another thing. I'll say it now as well. Is I've got to do a bit of a memorial type thing, you could say. A sign of respect for a corporal of mine that I served with in Kandahar, and I think he was out in Bastion with us, but directly linked with him in Kandahar. I've got a couple of funny stories that I'll bring up in a second. But unfortunately, while he was, I'm not sure if he was out on exercise in Saudi Arabia or if he was on holiday. Who holidays in Saudi Arabia? This guy's a madhead. But unfortunately, he was out running and got hit by a car, and unfortunately has passed away. So a big shout out to Dominic Murray, aka Scally. He was a true gent. He was, like I said, an absolute fucking madhead, crazy motherfucker, but heart of gold and would do anything for anyone. So unfortunately, we've lost another really good gunner to tragic circumstances. That it wasn't as though he was out at war. He got fucking hit while he was out for a jog. So it's sad fucking times. So per ardua Scally, and fucking may you rest in peace. And he is definitely a madhead. So I've mentioned it a few times it's in the book as well about the time where I was confirming on a potential IED.
Oh, it's him.
And he came over and basically asked me what was taking me so long, and I said, "Scally, there's a wire there. The Valen is beeped several times. I've got to confirm on it. I think it's an IED." He basically said, "Tommo, we're in Kandahar. We're not going to have an IED here, mate. Grab the wire," and pulled it out. And Shipper will back me up. Lockie will back me up. It was fucking a scary moment. So the fucking life flashed before my eyes. Shipper was down in the footwell of his jackal that he was driving, and all the lads in front of me didn't know what the fuck was going on. But yeah, that was a nice incident for me. Cheers for that, Scally. And the other one was we were out in Kandahar, and we were around the local villages, and Scally thought it would be a good idea to buy a chicken. So we
Live.
a live chicken, yeah. So we bought the chicken, and then we proceeded to try and kill it and cook it. And he issued me and Hack the task of killing the chicken and removing its head by giving us a blunt axe that took us several swings
Oh no!
to take this fucking chicken's head off. I think Hack managed to get it off in the end. Then obviously we defeathered it and gut it and stuff like that. But this chicken was not in a good state. When they cooked it, I didn't actually eat any, but the lads that did all went down with a fucking sickness bug. Put it that way. It was fucking grey and yeah, it was horrible chicken. But yeah, there's another lovely story from Scally making us buy this fucking chicken and cooking it, and loads of lads went sick. But yeah, there's I'm sure some of the other lads would have loads more funny stories from him, but I think another one wasn't involving me, was that they wanted to race the Americans up 3 Mile Mountain for like no reason. It's like, why are you doing that? He took it. Well, I did a patrol up 3 Mile Mountain with him. We didn't race anyone. We were just checking for IEDs apparently, because they put IEDs up a mountain. That was on orders from our boss. There wasn't any. He just wanted to take photos up the top. Or just say that then. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, there was some good fucking times. He's a fucking good lad. And yeah, sadly gone. Sadly gone. We got less than a minute on there. Do you want me to send you a new link? Or
Yes, that's good.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'll do that now.
All right.
Before it cuts off. Hello. You're at the adverts, so don't turn off. Don't turn off, because I've got some good stuff for you. First up, I'm going to talk about our sponsors. Kent CBD is our first sponsor. Now, CBD oil, as you know, has tremendous benefits, especially within mental health and physical health. Personally, I use it to help with my anxiety and my depression, but not only that, I also use it to help with the aches and pains of life in my joints, especially my ankles and my knees. But yeah, without CBD oil, I would have still been on my antidepressant tablets, which I'm no longer on. So, every cloud. And what we're going to do here at Granite Zero is we're going to give you 10% off everything from oil, muscle rub, jellies, bath salts, the lot. Yeah? Make sure you get in there. www.kentcbd.org. Put in the promo code GRANITE0 and get yourself 10% off. You are welcome. But also, if you're like me and you love a nice cup of coffee. Now, for me, I only drink one coffee, and that's Green Beret coffee. Now, I don't only drink it because it's out of this world fucking coffee, roast to order, grinded to whatever specific grind you want. But not only that, it's veteran owned and veteran run, which, hits me right in the feels. So make sure you check it out. Green Beret Coffee. Get yourself a nice cup of coffee. I drink it dark, just like my soul. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. And what I'm going to give for you, I'm going to give you 10% off. So once you get to the checkout, once you've got all your coffee, your products, your apparel, whatever you need, get to the checkout and put in the promo code GZPodcast10 and get yourself 10% off. Courtesy of the Granite Zero podcast. You are welcome. Now, that's enough of me talking about this stuff. Back to the regular scheduled show. Check it out! We are now back after the adverts. We're back! I was going to say something, and it's gone completely out of my fucking head. That's annoying. Granite Zero is almost 4. There's one thing that's in my head.
Yeah, I know. I've got the date in my diary.
Nearly 4 years old. It's fucking mad. Still recording in the shed, but you know.
Cheerio.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it's been 4 years. Doesn't feel like 4 years. But that weird in between sort of phase of lockdown.
Well, that was because it started. I was in New Zealand when you first recorded. I remember you sending them through.
Living the dream. Living the dream. But yeah, it's nice. I've got a good one coming up. So next week I should have the local lads from FC Granite Zero coming on.
Well, when you do, sort out the audio because I couldn't hear a damn thing on the last time you recorded. You were just about audible, and everyone else is like,
yeah, there was an issue, and it was my issue. So when I set the mics up, I think the spare one was loud. So Dan and Si you could hear reasonably well. This one was on like a low setting. I don't know why. I didn't change it. But because it was upright.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking directly into it. Yeah, it all went to a bit shit. But yeah, you know, it's the first time I've had 4 people in here. So teething problems. Yeah.
You know, it'll be sort of the next time.
It happened.
All right, David.
It happens. But yeah, the following week, I am going out in the bush, in the woods with. Yeah, in the bush. Nah, in the woods with Welshie, part of East Anglian bushcraft. He's got quite a good following now on YouTube and Instagram and things like that. So connecting.
Mark Ormrod's doing well. Talking to people who's doing well on the old socials. I first heard him.
Blue tick, Mark Ormrod. Some say I made him coming on the.
Yeah, heard it here first.
So, there's a few, that have been on here that I've been like, I've pushed you now, I've made you famous. So you're welcome.
How many times has Mace been in the UFC before he came on the Granite Zero podcast?
No, he wasn't, and he hasn't been on for a while, and now he's out of contract with the UFC. So if anything, Mason, if you'd have spoken to me, would have sorted you right out, wouldn't I? So what happens when you don't come on regular and you don't get your guest of the year? It happens.
Can we address the self-appointed guest of the decade comment that you put on Facebook?
Yeah, it's got to be done.
I was definitely.
We agreed.
Yeah, you agreed that it was okay for me. Jason got guest of the year 2019, and I decided that the guest of the decade maybe could go to me. We decided.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Of course. Do you know who hasn't been on for a while? Darren William.
Darren, is his middle name William?
William, yeah. Darren Willie Bum. Yeah. Lazy.
Well, the thing is, I know with you trying to get Darren on, it's the admin side, isn't it? It's like, yeah, cool.
Oh, his admin is so far up his ass, it's unreal. And I know you're listening. your admin is shit. It happens with so many people, mate. Even ex-servicemen that I've had on that I've given a time to. Like, I was a bit late today. That's because of the long-haired colonel had me doing other tasks. Not even at my own house.
No, no.
So I was zoomed in. Pardon the pun. Got here, got everything ready, and I was like, shit, got to send Chris the fucking
The link.
the deets. But yeah, admin. Come on, guys, let's get this admin sorted. And the amount of people that have been like, yeah, I'll come on. Like, yeah, cool. I'll come on a Sunday like morning. It's like, all right, cool. So I get up, get it all ready, wait there, and I'm like, any chance? Or, oh, sorry, I can't make it today. Oh, you could have told me that earlier. Could have stayed in bed. So
Sent me out last night. Yeah.
It happens. It happens. But yeah. We're on a big note. Obviously, we got the football coming up.
Football game. Match of the year,
Some say. And we've just been the local lads to myself, we've been offered the brand new 3G pitch that Sophia now plays on. We can now train on that. So that's it. That's a good thing. Long way for you guys to go in Hereford.
A long way to come, even for an actual game, never mind a training session.
It is.
But there is one of the lads that was like, oh yeah, if anyone in Hereford wants to train, then fine. But I've my as you know, I do this kind of I run.
He runs.
I run. I don't like running. We used to go running together actually, a few times, and we never really.
We never liked running, mate. I don't know why we did it. We should have just played basketball instead.
Yeah, but anyway, I've injured my ankles a few times in the last few months, so I've not gone for a run for nearly a month now.
It'll be all right.
I'm sure it'll be fine, but I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. Have you been on since the last game?
I don't know. No, well, no, I must have because I came on last year. This time last year, and the game wasn't this summer.
No, yeah, of course you would have. Of course you would have. Yes, 2021, the last match, which was going to be the first and last until everyone was like, "Are you going to do another one? Are you going to do another one?" And then I'll do it if I get a bit of support from other people. Yeah.
I'll proofread the program again.
That's fine. I enjoy that. Level that. To be fair, Spud. Do you remember Spud?
Of course, I remember Spud. Spud with his hat on in a funny angle.
Spud.
Funny angle hat, Spud. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. He's actually put quite a bit of effort in for me from his end. He's getting the match balls this time and things like that. But yeah, the compliment. I think I might have told you last time the compliment that Big Tommo gave you, mate. He was like, I didn't know Chris Smith could play that well. I was like, why do you think my master plan was to bring him in?
No, mate.
No, to be fair, you were never shit at football.
I was at one point, like primary school. I was rubbish. But again, like I think it's playing basketball is about awareness for space. You know, a lot of sports, right? It's about awareness of space and communicating with people. And I think that's what I did on the basketball court better. Was I was quite a good communicator and organizer. And then because I had a size advantage over the forwards, they didn't score quite as many goals as they might have.
Yeah,
you know,
if anything, did they score when Chris Smith was on the pitch? That was the question.
Yeah, they definitely did. But you know, the downside to my game, and listen, any of the opposition players that are listening to the podcast, because you should do for your research, really. Like, I can't kick a football. I'm rubbish. Actually, you put a football on my feet. Nah, I can't do it. That I'm not very good at.
Mate,
so
Harry Maguire's made a living out of it, so you probably could.
Phil Jones as well. I mean, Phil Jones is still.
Phil Jones is the biggest con man in world football. He's always injured around the time of the transfer windows.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you're not going to pass a medical, are you, if you're injured? So And then somehow they go, do you want a new contract? Ooh, yeah.
He's got something on his knees. Got something on the Glazers.
Yes, please. He's been at the club for 11 years. 12 years now. He was bought by Sir Alex.
That's the synergy still there. No, they're shit.
He's won 2 Premier League titles. Madness.
Yeah, but like he was okay at the beginning, wasn't he? Like they thought he was all right.
He was. Yeah, to me, he has been riddled with horrific injuries. I think it's down to his ankles and knees. I think, but if you can't play because you keep getting injured, retire and become a coach.
20 a year? Nah.
Fucking con man, mate. Harry Maguire, con man. That's what we were supposed to talk about. King James.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was going to bring this up if you didn't. I thought that's might be what
King James.
LeBron. Is he the GOAT?
People, right. To be fair, we've always been fans of James. We've always said he's fucking class ever since he burst onto the scene at fucking however old he was. But the disrespect that he does get from like basketball pundits, you could say, you're like, why?
Yeah,
I understand that, you know, it's the same with the Messi and Ronaldo thing. However, they play football at the same time. You can't really compare Jordan and James because they played in a completely different era for a start.
No, and I think that's part of it, isn't it?
And position.
There's so many differences between them, and the game's changed. The rules are different anyway. Look, LeBron James. I think you've got to admire. Anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, he's just passed the scoring record in the NBA. So he's scored more NBA points than any other player alive, passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was
the greatest name.
Oh yeah,
which has stood since 1984.
I couldn't say, but yeah, I mean,
there's some fucking knowledge for you.
But okay, how many 3-pointers do you think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar scored in his career in the NBA?
That's a fucking question. I'm gonna go with probably none.
One. He's got 1 3-pointer.
Was it a skyhook?
Yeah, probably halfway, I guess. He's got 1 3-pointer. So, like, actually,
that's more incredible
because Bron's got obviously loads of 3-pointers on there.
That also like coincides with Wilt Chamberlain and his 100-point game. They're all 2-pointers. All 2-pointers.
Yeah. And same Bill Russell, you know, obviously he didn't score as high, but 11 championships. So like there are, you know, is LeBron James the greatest ever? I don't think you can ever say that. I think there's too many people that have had greatness that you can't say.
I like what Jordan said, because they were going to name the MVP trophy the Michael Jordan trophy, and he said no, because of I don't want that accolade. And they said, but you're the greatest of all time. It was like, no, I was one of the greatest in my era. You can't compare eras because we can't change time for the fucking 96 Bulls to play LeBron's. I don't know which one was his better team. And to be fair to LeBron, he's done it with 3 different teams.
He's a phenomenal player. And it's his longevity. I mean, he has been injured since playing at the Lakers, but not for as long as.
Well, this is his 20th season, isn't it? Or 20th year.
Madness. And you know there are players that have lasted that long. Vince Carter, who you would assume, like the early part of his career, he was all about the dunks and high flying and air cannon and all that sort of stuff. But then turned out to be a pretty good 3-point shooter, and actually he's on the all-time 3-point list. Top 10.
Crazy.
Which you wouldn't expect, like seeing the early part of his career. But again, as a role player, you know, as a guy who comes up, gets a couple of minutes, takes some shots, scores some threes, for you know the second part of his career. Whereas LeBron, season 20 is still like
He doesn't look like he's slowed down at all.
it's crazy.
But that's just me. To be fair, I don't sit there and watch games like I used to do. I like to watch. Well, most of the time I just check the highlights, which annoys me when I go onto like Instagram and things, and then the Sixers have put their highlights up, and they look like they're fucking smashing it, and then you go and check the score and they've lost. It's like, well, don't put all those fucking good highlights up. You've lost. Stop it.
That's the other thing. Obviously, the Lakers have been a bit rubbish this year.
Rubbish. You have now just got rid of Russell Westbrook, haven't you?
Yeah, trading for a player that we drafted. We drafted D'Angelo Russell and got rid of him many years ago because he wasn't good enough, apparently. Turned out he was good enough. It was just the way that the organisation treated him or coached him or whatever it was that made him not. And that's happened with so many of our young players because the Lakers had a fallow few years. They drafted some really good prospects high up in the draft, and then they got rid of them all to put together this team, which did win a championship. So fair enough, it's about winning championship.
Was that like Liverpool's Premier League title? Didn't count because it was COVID.
It's COVID, yeah. He's a minority stakeholder in Liverpool as well, so
it didn't count.
Apparently, it doesn't count, but I count the Lakers one at least.
I would have counted it if it was the Sixers.
Wrong. So they won the championship, but they trade away all these players, and then it turns out those players turned out to be really good. So I certainly have that well.
I saw something come up, and it said Russell never was a good fit for the Lakers because it wasn't his team. He needs to be part of a team that is his team. I was like, all right. Wasn't he part of like a big super team at the start of his career?
Well, yeah.
But it does make me laugh with those sort of things. It's like the ego obviously gets involved, and it's sad really, because when you think about it, if you had a bit like when we'll take the 96 Bulls, when they realized they needed a rebounder because they didn't have anyone to do that, they went, we'll get the best in the league, we'll get Dennis Rodman. Everyone was like, why are you getting Rodman? He's a fucking hothead. And it's like, well, no, he's the best.
Yeah.
You will make us better. We'll deal with his bullshit off court when we need to. We've got him. We need him. And, they worked as a team and won another fucking 3 championships. So why can't the best play with the best? It always makes me laugh.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I guess they were both the best in their respective thing, but like Rodman wasn't stepping on.
Oh no.
But it's just, I mean, there's only 5 players on the court at any one time, and you look at his usage rates, isn't it? What percentage of the time does that player have on the ball during their game? And obviously, if you want to play with someone who's incredible, then everyone has to sacrifice a bit of usage rate. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There all these players are kind of clumping around each other. We had that Nets team that was James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. Should be mop the floor with the championship. That should be it. And they've just fallen apart. Both have obviously.
Well, 3 of them are gone now from the Nets, haven't they?
Yeah. Harden bullied
he's gone to Philly.
Went to Philly for Ben Simmons, and then
that was a good trade.
Yeah, you got rid of a player that wasn't actually playing for you, and they got rid of a player that wasn't playing for them.
Yeah.
Now Kyrie's left. I
saw him playing for Dallas, and I was like, "What the fuck has happened there?" I thought he was at the fucking Nets.
And what's interesting is I think Luka Doncic, obviously is a power forward like LeBron, who kind of tends to bring the ball up sometimes. Yeah. But it'd be interesting to see how they play with each other, because he is similar to LeBron in that style of play, I suppose. Kind of
as that. What did Scottie Pippen sort of designed it, didn't he? The point forward, they call it, don't they?
Yeah, he's a big guy with good fundamentals who can handle the ball. And that's the thing they say about LeBron. Like he was different. But he's different from everyone else. No, but like, no, the thing I say about Ron, he's different from everyone else.
But I'm saying Scottie
Pippen.
Pippen. One of
Pippen.
the best players in the league, probably the best number 2 that you could ask for, and was like 120th being paid because he took out a ridiculous contract. He needed to. He needed to take that contract to look after his parents. That's why he took the contract. So, if you haven't seen Last Dance, there's a spoiler.
Yeah, him and Jordan have fallen out a bit, haven't they? Really, over the Last Dance and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I could probably see why, because it was mainly about Michael Jordan, not about the Bulls. It was like a couple of episodes, or half of each episode afterwards was like be one about Steve Kerr, there'll be one about Pippen, there'll be one about Rodman, but then it was like halfway through it'd be back to Jordan. It's like, well, you should have done an episode on each one. Would have been nice. But still a class fucking doc. I loved it.
It was really good. I
need to do one on well other sports. A bit like they did with Amazon. What was it called? All or Nothing.
Yeah, I haven't watched them, but I know of what you mean. They've done a Bill Russell one, I think. I just saw. Yeah, I think I just Netflix. I think it was Netflix. I was scrolling through just the other day.
Yeah.
So I think this sort of documentary thing on sports players, profiling them, obviously is a format that Netflix will expand now because it was successful. They've done the And One series, which was quite good.
That was a good one to watch.
And have you seen the Professor did a response to it, which is quite interesting as well? Because there were things on there that were wrong from his perspective. There were things on there that they got right, and there were things on there that he didn't know that he was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Yeah, like I think he's saying a lot of the timeline is off. So there's this, which led to this, which led to this, which led to this, which led to the demise of the company. Those times didn't happen, and like they said about everyone started arguing about pay. So I never heard. People would. That was and there were arguments and fights in the locker room and stuff, and that happened at the end. So now that kind of happened the whole time. Like we were just like brothers, and we'd have fights, and pay never really came into it, and it was just the fact that the one guy left and they decided to try and make some money and they sold it. It wasn't. He said, "Oh yeah, Nike came in and they did the street ball advert."
Yeah,
that street ball advert that they claimed took the life out of And One. That was released prior to the Professor being signed to And One. It made it sound like that advert.
It made it sound like the And One bought out street ball to make it profitable for people on the outside that are not pros to then become something. And then Nike thought, I'll have a look at that. I'll take that.
And we'll exactly. That's how they framed it. They framed it as Nike moved in to take that niche that And One had occupied. He said,
the thing, I sort of thought about that when I watched it because I was like, but they didn't just bring out a street ball basketball advert. They did it for football as well. If you remember, there was the football side of it.
Oh, and like running through the airports and stuff. And
well, they did. They did the same advert that the do. They did when they're bouncing it all anyway. But they did it with the football as well. They did exactly the same advert, but for football, and it was like a freestyle football advert.
I don't remember that.
Well, I watched too much telly, mate. You were book smart, reading all your books.
I was not book smart at all.
I was watching telly.
I was not book smart. I did not read any books as a kid.
I don't believe you. I definitely don't. Jess has read far more books than I ever have in my life. She is unreal with her reading. Yeah, good. I made a joke actually because they do work experience weird now. So they do like every year, we'll do a work experience at some point.
Yeah.
So she's got one. I think it's middle of June. She's got work experience. And I was like, what do you want to do, Jess? What do you want to do? She was like, well, I either want to be a journalist when I grow up or an author. And I was like, all right, cool. So what are you going to do for your work experience? She was like, I don't know, I might go to the local paper. I went, I could take some days off and you can just mirror me because I'm the only author in the family. And she was like, I could. I went, no, you're going to do something proper. We're not just having fucking 3 days off.
You're going to local paper.
Yeah, Kate was like, you can't keep telling people you're an author. I went, but I am.
I am an author. What do you think an author is?
I was like, I had my book published. She went, I had some poems published when I was in year. I went, yeah, but that wasn't your book of poetry. You just wrote a poem. You're a poet.
And
I'm an author. Mixed reviews.
There was one very well written review, which others copied. If I'm honest.
Oh,
and that was that was the one for the Granite Zero podcast. I wrote a really good one, and then others were like, I'll take that bit out, and
I'll just copy and paste. Copy and paste. Yeah. So, Chris Smith, PhD, doctor, lad, legend, father, husband, Uber legend, back-to-back county championship winner. He's got rings to prove it.
coach.
He's going to get his name and his number retired at Bishop School.
Everyone we were like walking into sports. What's that? Oh, that's. Do you remember Coach Chris? No.
Yeah. Well, you should.
Oh wow. It's gonna be awkward then.
You're gonna be. Do you want to check my credentials? They're up there on the wall.
Yeah. But that just says
We should have done that. Wasn't a thing back then for us to log like the number of points we scored from year 8 to year 11.
scoring title.
I'm sure.
You got scoring title.
I'm sure I would have because I was a greedy bastard.
Yeah, really. Realistically, came from like.
Realistically, I wouldn't pass a ball unless I didn't have a shot.
And even then,
I'd force the shot and let you get the rebound. So,
yeah.
No, it was good times. It was good times.
It was. It's a shame I don't think we've got any video footage of us playing. Actually, that would be nice.
We used to on your old rascal phone, but that was more just street balling it.
Yeah, a couple of photos.
I did have footage, if you remember, because I had to video a game for my BTEC.
BTEC, yeah.
Yeah. Do you not remember what happened with the camera and we rewound it too far? I'm sure Darren remembers.
Is this something for repeating on the podcast? Had someone made a video on the camera?
Oh, someone made something for OnlyFans on the Darren William rascal.
I do not. I do not remember that story.
I do because I say little. He's probably taller than me now. Jack Pritchard Smith.
Yeah.
Was the cameraman, and he looked back and he was like, "Whoa, what's that?" And I was like, "Fucking hell, I don't know what the fuck that is." Rascal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Darren, you ought to get better at life admin.
Don't loan me the recorder if you've got porn on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did have video of it. Because it was I remember it being a very strange match. One, because I had to get a number of 3-pointers in. I wasn't the best at 3-point shooting anyway. Because I had to analyze my jump shot compared to the best 3-point takers at the time. So I think I had Reggie Miller
probably. When I jumped, I did
Ray Allen.
Ray.
And I think I had my hero in there, even though he's not a proper 3-point shooter. AI, just to have comparisons on like jump ratios and the biomechanics of where your elbow should be to your release hand and things like that. And I remember getting the ball because I had to do it on the corner. Yeah, so the corner, the elbow, in front, and then so on round. And I remember the first one I had was in the corner, and I took it, and it fucking proper swish. And I was like, That bodes well. I'll keep that one in. All the others that I take will probably get deleted. But that one's staying in. Oh.
I remember very few like individual basketball shots that I took, but you talking about that being in the corner, I do remember a game for Bishops. I don't know who we were up against, but yeah, being not in the corner, not a three. But I just remember, I remember taking 2 shots from the same spot in a row. And the first one looped the net round the hoop, so it was kind of covering up, and the second one like poked a little hole in the net.
Yes.
But yeah, it's funny how you remember that sort of stuff.
It is, and before we close up, there's one game that always sticks out in my mind for the Hereford Hawks. That was against Gloucester Uni when it was just me and you taking the coaching, and me and Steve caught fire. I think Mark Gaunt did as well, and we must have hit about 8 or 9 threes in a row between us, and then Steve scored from the halfway line.
The halfway line, yeah. End of the court.
We just all caught fire. I was like, what has just happened? I've never scored. I must have scored 2 or 3 threes in a row. That was like proper. I was like, oh, that was a good sound. And then I'll do that again. Why not? And then like Steve then got the ball and scored a couple. Mark then scored a couple, and then it was coming to the end of the half, and I think me and you were on the bench as a rotation part. And then Steve, we were like, don't take that shot. Because we could see him doing it, because he used to have that same sort of technique while he was dribbling up to take this 3. And he took it and it went in, and we all went fucking.
I remember it. He got a few. He got a few over the course of that Hawks season that we all played, and when he was in, from with buzzer beaters from like halfway. I think he got at least 2, maybe 3. Like. Unusual. It's just unusual to like hit them.
It's just an unusual shot, because nobody would think that Steve was going to do that, because the way he was built back then, he was sort of
exactly, gangly. So it wasn't like, he wasn't doing a decent shooting form or anything. He was just lobbing it, which is wildly inaccurate. And of course you're going to try, but but unusual. I mean, funny. Hey, we won the game. I'm sure. Gloucester Uni Wildcats or something like that.
Yeah, fucking pain in the ass. They were dirty bastards.
Oh, I do remember one though. Obviously off the box out on the free throw. Obviously you've got to step across the opposing player and kind of like try and stop them from getting the rebound. And I just remember with one of them guys, I stepped across and I elbowed him right in the solar plexus, and he went. I still remember that noise, and he looked at me like, I can't believe you just done that to me. I thought you were nice.
It's all fun and games, mate. It's all fun and games. It is. Well, mate, I'm gonna end it there on that trip down memory lane. I could do that all day, going down memory lane. But I know you've got to go and do school run. I may have to do school run. I might just pretend that I've done this a bit longer, so Kate can do it.
Just tell Kate that. Oh yeah, no, we just went on a bit. You know what Chris is like.
She doesn't listen anyway, so
no, she hasn't got this far. She'll listen to the intro.
She'll listen to the intro to make sure I'm not singing. But yeah, Chris, it's always been a pleasure to have you on.
We'll do it again.
We'll get you on again, and if not, well, I'll definitely see you before, because I'm coming to Hereford for Darren's birthday.
When's that? April
40. April.
Yes, of course. Yeah, Nick's 40 this year as well. I'm like, I can't believe it. We're going at Stone, and then we're going to go to a gig, because that's what 40-year-olds do, apparently.
That's what you do, mate. I have no idea what we're doing for Darren's. If I did, then I'm sure I'm not supposed to say anyway. But yeah, I'll be down in April. And then the big game, number 24, C. Smith.
Now introducing.
Oh, can't wait. Anyway,
have a good night.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Thank you for your time. Right, I'll see you in a bit.